Hello and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. Last episode, we made our roundabout of fuel. All the producers and all the consumers are all in this little area, and now we are left with the daunting task of delivering the fuel to the primary consumer, which for us right now is going to be Flitwick. Flitwick does have a very high demand, 128 per year, and it's really the only one I think that is kind of worth it at this point to make a line go over to. And really by that, I mean, we have a main line already going to Flitwick. What we're going to do is tap into that line and connect in our little branch here, this branch to the east. And by the way, I've been using north-south-east lately, in my head at least. So this is going to be considered north. And then down by Ashley de la Zouche over here, this is going to be south. So if you hear me reference directions, that is what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's get into the endeavor, the business of making a massive branch. And what I also plan to do, by the way, is make a dedicated second line all the way along our main route. So instead of having a passing lane from about here up, we're actually going to have two ways, or at least, one way in each direction guaranteed, because it's like 4 trains that are using this track right now. We have 2 from Flitwick and Bodmin, 1 from Bishop Auckland down to Bodmin, and then we'll also have our fuel going all the way to Flitwick. So it's going to be very, very busy for us in the upcoming small amount of time after we get everything set up. So let's set up our terminus cargo station right here. As you can see, it is actually including our truck stop into the train. You can see it's in the catchment area. So any fuel that eventually gets delivered, in theory, should jump right on board the cargo station. And I'm going to extend this small little spur here, just straight out. It also will pass by some producers of logs and the refinery to make planks. So if we ever need to tap into that industry, we will be able to do so. So I'm going to fast forward just a bit and do a little bit of train work or track work. Okay, so in preparation for hitting the river, I want to take a look at what angle we're going to do this at. And really, it's going to be relatively simple. We're going to hit the river at a, not 90 degree, we're going to come at it at an angle, and then kind of merge in with the rest of our track. Now, like I said, I do want to make this a dedicated 2-way line. So what I'm going to do is pause the game so that my train conductors don't complain about the lack of track anymore. And I'm actually going to make a dedicated second line. Now, remember how way back in the day I said, don't drag a long section of track. Do it in smaller segments. That doesn't actually always happen to be the case. You actually can drag a very long distance as long as you're following or directly lined up against an existing rail network. As you can see, it basically takes the existing elevation and everything is matched, including all angles, all turns. So it's very, very smooth, and you won't be getting any extra expenditure. So feel free, whenever you're adding a second line, just click and drag along the entire section of track, and it's going to stay very nicely aligned with you, or for you. There we go. So we're tying into what is actually a passing lane, and I am going to delete a couple things. I want to delete our little signal here, and I believe we had one more signal over here. This is going to get changed around, so more changes to come towards Bishop Auckland in the near future. You are also a lone signal sitting out here all by your lonesome. Very well, my friend. And now we get to, I lost my track. There it is right here. So we're going to talk about actually making the track go over the river. So I'm going to kind of angle out this way in order to prepare for a gentle curve, which is going to cross the river. So we're kind of coming out this way a little bit. Now I think this is kind of a little downhill slope getting closer to the river. So what I want to do is force level my track. And actually by clicking the button, you're telling it you want this to stay 100% straight. You don't want to follow the train. You don't want to do anything other than keep this track straight. So as the ground tapers down in elevation, we're going to keep adding more and more kind of terrain and dirt underneath our track to keep that elevation where we want it. And eventually this is going to snap over into a bridge, and hopefully, let's see, are we high enough to let traffic through? No. So what I will need to do is add, as we get a little bit tiny or a little bit closer to the water, I'm going to add a small incline, pretty gentle incline, nothing too crazy, right about here. Accept that. Straighten it out. I know it's going a little bit crazy right now. Let me unsnap you. There we go. Straighten it out by going like this. And now we are high enough. That's actually very high, probably. We are really, really high. But it is going to allow all sorts of sea transportation to get through. So we're across the river at this point. I'm going to curve off a little bit more than I have it. So maybe like this. That way it gives us plenty of room to come down and have a nice smooth transition. So traffic can go underneath the bridge, retain its maximum speed here. And if we wanted to, I think we can upgrade. Yeah, we can upgrade the bridge to a faster a faster supporting speed. So I will upgrade this to the 120 kilometer per hour type of bridge. Let's press enter here. Actually, can we start to angle it downward? We can. We can angle it down as it gets closer to shore and still have plenty of room for ships and whatnot on this side. So what I'm going to do from here is have a nice steady decline. And I don't want to immediately snap in because this is a much sharper elevation or a much sharper slope than if I were to just branch off like this. And I want our train to have a pretty smooth approach here. Now, our trains are still very powerful at this point in time, but this train is going to be carrying a lot of empty tank cars on the way home, and I don't want it to slow down much. So we are continuing our downward descent. And eventually, this is probably close enough where I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Go ahead and match the terrain. And there we go. It's coming from the track or from the bridge, merging onto a normal flat terrain. So now we're going to have fun with complicated crossing lanes. So here's how I mentally picture this. This is a highway. It is a 2-lane highway, southbound, northbound lane. What we want to do is have an on-ramp and an off-ramp. I consider it on-ramp because our train, from here at least in this particular scenario, is only going to Flitwick. It doesn't care about anything else. It's going to pick up fuel, and then it's going to Flitwick, so I'm considering this the on-ramp, and then it's going from Flitwick home, and I'm considering that the off-ramp. Okay, so what we need to do is let our train get onto the main northbound lane like this, relatively smoothly, and also still cross back over in a southbound way. So right here is our northbound merge, right? So this is the northbound on-ramp. What in the world? Oh, what did I do here? Good God. How do we get... What did I do? You know what I think I did? Hang on, I think I saw what I did. I believe I made it grind into the ground instead of following... Let me try this one more time. It went so low there. Yeah, it is following like a downward slope. There we go. So if we have it forced to follow the train and be level, it's relatively close enough. This should be okay. What I'll do then, to make life easier for us, is actually come up alongside the existing 2-lane highway here. And that's going to smooth everything out angle-wise. There we go. So everything is nice and happy. So, we are moving alongside our highway. We are a parallel country road alongside our highway. First off, we're going to make our northbound on-ramp. Oh, it's so fickle right at the edge here. There we go. And I'm trying to make this a nice smooth on-ramp, right? So keeping the maximum speed if possible, like that. Now we want to make a kind of an off-ramp in order for our southbound train to cross back over and start heading home. So let's reverse the camera. We want to basically say, I want to get from this southbound lane all the way over to call this our country road. Remember our little country road that's only used by one train right now, so we don't have to worry about 2 trains fighting along this track. So we're going to just cut on over. And again, trying to make this relatively smooth so that it is retaining as much speed as possible. And there we go. That's all I needed to do. So it looks very complicated. Lots of tracks crossing together, but it's really not. It's really not that bad. Again, consider that, 2-lane highway here. And now we're going to put down some signals, which hopefully might explain it a little bit better. So this is the northbound lane. We're going to put a signal right here. And we're telling this northbound lane, hey, there's somebody who might be cutting in front of you right now. So you may want to go ahead and stop what you're doing, wait for this train to cut through, and then proceed on your way. Same thing over here on our on-ramp. We're going to come over down here and put a sign and say, hey, you're just a simple on-ramp. You're a side road. Let the main northbound line go first, and then you can go after that. On the southern side, it's not quite as complex. All we're going to do is we're going to say there might be a northbound train Like, say our train right now, this is the southbound signal. Say the train that's currently right here wants to cut across and go back to pick up more fuel. We can have it stop if we recognize that there's a train that's actually going kind of straight through, which would impede its movement on this little cross, okay? So, yeah, it sounds like really complex up front. It gets better with time. And I'm sure, honestly, I'm definitely not a master of all the traffic in this game and all the track design. So if you have a better way to do this, absolutely let me know. If there is a tried and true method, or you think that something would be more efficient and you want me to try it out, just let me know in the comments below. And I would be happy to give it a shot for you. Meanwhile, we are all the way up towards Flitwick. We still have our 2-lane highway. So we're going to have something very similar on this end, because we want our lovely folks here at, I already forgot the name, that's why I zoomed out, Bishop Auckland. There we go. I totally knew who they were. They're going to be doing kind of a similar thing. So Bishop Auckland, again, considering our 2-lane highway here, we're actually going to change a couple things up. Because if you notice, we have a single track over the water. Well, as we get closer to the Flitwick station, we really can't go any farther on this side of the rail. This is like the station edge. So we're going to have to start building outward this way. So this is the rightmost lane, which is the northbound lane, which means we need to actually make a second line going away from the station. Something like this right here. We don't really need to, but it's going to help me in terms of getting my design laid out the way I want it. And we are going to actually make a second line go across the water. It will cost a bit of money up front, but it will be, you know, we're kind of designing for the future. We're trying to future-proof our line just a little bit. So I'm going to click and drag and make sure I snap next to the existing line. And as you can see, it just kind of makes the bridge a little bit wider. No real problems there. $400,000, easy come, easy go. Out the door, no problem. So now, as we start to get closer, you notice that what was the southbound lane is actually turning into the northbound lane. You see how it's a little bit weird right here. So we're going to kind of shift everything in this area. Total destruction, complete mayhem on our track. So all we're going to do is basically say you are connecting to this, you are connecting to this. And there we go. Situation solved. Northbound line stays northbound. If I could actually make the final connection here. Oh my gosh. The smallest piece of track will cause you the greatest bit of trouble. So there we go. It is still a southbound route and a northbound route. Now, on this side, this is the Bishop Auckland route. This needs to do kind of pretty much the same thing we did on the other side, right? So we're going to come up here like so and do a nice gentle merge. Actually, I could probably just do it like this, right? We're merging right into, this is considered the southbound lane. And then we'll have the northbound lane cut across. This would be pretty sharp. Again, I always go for kind of the smoother approach here. As much as possible, I try to retain the speed. So right there is pretty good. So like this, and then this time I'll merge it in a little bit farther for funsies. Something a little bit different. There we go. Maximum speed. There we go. So again, on-ramp, on-ramp, off-ramp. There we go. We have one track that's only used by one train. So we really don't have to make passing lanes right now. We might in the future. Bishop Auckland might get a little bit bigger than it currently is. But so far, if they want to go southbound, they just simply merge over here. And if they're kind of coming from the other side, they're going to take this bit of an off-ramp and return over to Bishop Auckland. A couple more signs need to go down. Again, we're basically saying, hey, don't merge yet. Someone is coming on the track. We're saying don't cross yet. Someone is coming in the other direction. And here we're basically saying there's all sorts of chaos. Don't do anything. There's like double crossing routes. Just calm down and wait for everything to be nice and smooth. We don't need to put a marker here yet because, again, it's only one train. They're gonna know which route to go. And really, if we look here, you can already tell that it kind of knows what it wants to do. Now, this is not quite set up yet to use both lanes because on the Flitwick side, if you notice here, the train is arriving and departing. There's no way for this train on this station to go on, I guess, to switch lanes, right? It simply turns around, and it doesn't have an ability to change lanes until much farther down the road. So what we're going to do, just outside of Flitwick, is put a simple crossing route, or crossing lane here. And we'll do it very early on, because the train is already moving very, very slow. So we're going to do this way, and we're going to do this way. And this is going to let the train change lanes, basically. So there you go. The train is arriving. This is the Flitwick Zephyr route, or the Bodmin and Flitwick route. So it arrives, it drops its passengers off, it turns around, and it starts using the southbound lane. And it'll do this all the way across the entire network, and then you can see some dedicated north-south action. And then beyond here, it gets a little bit funky because I haven't quite fleshed out the rest of the line yet. But that is pretty much what I wanted to do in rough layout, right? We have a way for Bishop Auckland to get there. We have a way to get our fuel into Flitwick, except I haven't quite made a cargo station yet. In order to make the cargo station, we're going to have to go into configuration, and we're going to add down more tracks in the lovely configuration modular stuff that we have here, which is so very cool. Here we go, and I'm going to add a cargo platform on this side, because this will be, for the moment, this is going to be the cargo side. Maybe we'll keep expanding. Maybe Flitwick gets massively huge and needs to have a ton of different dedicated passenger lines. So far, we're okay. So there's our cargo platforms, and I'm going to throw down some cargo buildings. We'll put on a nice big cargo station here. Not that it really needs it per se, but you know what? I like how it looks. So we're going to put down a couple of supporting buildings. We'll put down a little loading dock here for storage, and then a little small building over there. I love how it looks. It just looks so cool. It is really cool to have these different cargo stations in here, and to have the modular effects on the station itself. Being able to walk underneath if you want to. Super fun. So, what is happening with this chaos now that the station is a mix of passenger and cargo? First things first, this is the notorious Train 4, going from Flitwick to Cramlington, which apparently has 21 people, so it's actually not too bad. How's this doing on this end? Yeah, a good amount of people. I believe the train is not making money hand over fist, but it is making a little bit of profit. It is staying profitable. So this is helping both Flitwick and Cramlington grow. So overall, this is a pretty successful little bit of a run. I'm actually going to let the train move for a minute to get out of our way. Onward, noble train. There we go. Pause the game. So we're going to adjust some stuff here for the Cramlington train. What I want the Cramlington train to do is I want it to... Actually, is it using Station 1 or 2? It is using Station 2 already. But I think I'm going to make it use Station 3. Because I may have Bishop Auckland coming here at some point and using Station, or Terminal 2. Sorry, not Station, but Terminal. Terminal number 2, this is Terminal number 3. So, in order to get this going, I'm going to immediately make kind of a train line that hugs the existing route. And I'm going to merge it on in. So something like, just really simple like that. So if the train is, I think I actually need to, no, it all comes down to one lane. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So when it's coming this direction, call this southbound, it's going to kind of veer off to this far side, use Station or Terminal 3, turn around, and then merge with the rest of its traffic, which really, there's no one else going this direction yet. So what we can do is go into the route editor, limit it by what's in front of us, look at the Cramlington Flitwick line, and say, hey, you know what? You're going to use Terminal 3 now. And there we go. That pretty much freed up Terminal 2 for whatever we might want to do in the future, which I'm planning on probably adding a line from Bishop Auckland perhaps, or somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a dedicated run here from Bolton, and we'll have Bolton come visit Flitwick as well. So they could come up, and instead of docking in or stopping at Terminal 1, they can kind of cross over and use Terminal 2. That way we could have two trains unload at the same time, and they simply have to wait for someone to get on the main section of traffic. So on the reverse end of this, we have our cargo platform and our rail platform that aren't doing anything here. So I will extend both out in the event that we want to use Terminal 3 in this direction at some point. So this can get a little bit confusing too. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't like anything. There we go. That's not too bad. Imagine driving. Look at that. I mean, I think Chicago, I'm trying to think of how Chicago is with roads. Most of Chicago's Grand Central is actually underground, so you don't wind up having too much crossing. There is a couple of spots just outside of town, I think, that have a couple of bigger crossing areas. But this is pretty rough. 4 lines of traffic to cross. People are going to be waiting here forever if we ever get super busy. But what I'm going to do is have, again, a bit of a merge. So we're going to do a kind of the same as I had before. And I don't really care that it's slower. We're getting to the point where we're coming into a station. They're going to be slow anyways. So we'll have a little bit of a merge here. Continuing on straight. And another merge into this one right here. So if And actually, this is how it's going to be. Our cargo line, bringing the fuel in, is going to have to go from here. It's going to use this line, this little crossing route over here. And then it's going to actually have to cross again in order to get over to the cargo platform itself. So lots of little kind of hitches here in the rail line. So we'll do another one, 87, 60. That's fine. It's all going to be slowing down because it is getting closer to the track or to the station. So I think that's all we really need to do. I actually can delete this part of the line and just force it to merge in. So cargo will come in with fuel, cross right here, split off, go into the cargo terminal, unload, turn around, merge again. Ignore this because this is kind of like the on-ramp. This is the off-ramp. Keep going and then merge onto the southbound lane, right? Again, same thing as we did before. This is the third time we've done this set of signals. So we'll have a signal probably here saying, hey, watch out, there's some crazy crossing stuff. A signal here that says you need to wait for the southern main line. And then this right here says, hey, don't cross yet. The southern track is, the southern train is coming. So 3 simple switches. I, in theory, should put down one for right here to prevent anyone from kind of colliding. If I wanted to be really efficient, I could put some right here too. And why not? We'll make sure we set ourselves up for success. So how does it look right now? The Cramlington Flitwick line is working as intended. Let's make a new line from our fuel depot all the way here, Stamford sidings, all the way to the cargo line. And sure enough, everything actually wound up connecting instantly, which is really is nice to make sure everything works at first go. So as you can see right here, it's crossing across the kind of the north-south highway, doing its cargo drop, and then merging back onto the highway. And really, the line manager is the best way to visualize what I'm talking about. And when you're building your line, it can really help you identify problematic areas. Here we go. We have a couple of merges here. Now you can see that all 3 of our lines are using the same section of track. So we are very colorful all the way down, and everything is pretty much lined up. Here is where you will have, again, more merging. So this is the southbound lane, kind of taking the off-ramp in order to go across the bridge back home, and then it's delivering its fuel in this direction. Meanwhile, the highway continues on, and I believe, everything kind of goes down to one track, which is fine for the moment. We can adjust that if we need to. There is still a passing lane down here, so they have enough, I guess, space in order to get past each other, which they just did. Train 6, we really need to name Train 6 apparently, so it's not just Train 6 forever and ever. Ooh, only 46 people on this run. I wonder if they're getting too close together. How's your demand, Bodman? You still have quite a bit. A lot of people want to go to Flitwick. Flitwick is very popular. I think it's actually, is it outgrowing Bodman? 426. And, Bodman is massive right now. Bodman is where everything is happening, right? We've got all sorts of downtown commercial stuff. Here's our glorious headquarters as well. So Bodman is really hardcore fun to be in right now. So we have everything set. We have our fuel and the entire line. If you're confused at all about what we're doing, crude oil is getting delivered here, getting picked up, delivered here to be processed into normal processed oil, delivered back, picked up, processed into fuel, dropping off at the truck station, instantly getting transported to the cargo line, which is then going to go all the way down here and deliver its final fuel to Flitwick, which finally, I'm glad I did that because I forgot, we need to actually make a fuel delivery, a local fuel delivery, because when it gets here, it's only servicing these local buildings. We want to be able to have our fuel trucks deliver the fuel everywhere else. So if we take a look at the overlay for goods, you can see that this section of town is the big fuel users and this section is the tool users. So what I shall do is throw down another truck station or a truck station. And we'll put it, honestly, we can, again, using the trick of magic and trying to remember to put your stuff as far away as you can from your item, like your building you're trying to pull goods from, and the closest to your destination. So right here, the train is still, the railroad station itself, the train station, is still in the catchment area, but it's farther down the road and thus closer to our final destination. This is encompassing these buildings, and so all we really need to do is find a spot to deliver our fuel to, what is this? This is the destinations layer? Ooh, interesting. I'm going to look at this layer in a minute. here is our cargo layer. Yep, so we need to be able to service down to here and then all the way out. So if we go into buildings and look at truck stops, if we put a truck stop right here, it actually does. This spot here will service everyone that needs fuel. Perfect. So one truck stop is all we need. I'll keep it right-handed. If I wanted to, I could actually, and you know what? In fact, let's do that. Let's extend this road right to here. I'm even going to upgrade the road because I feel like a nice, noble city member right there. Okay, so we're upgrading their road. Now, if I make a local delivery route between, I think it's right here and right here, very, very short. I mean, this is like a minute of a delivery. The most efficient way is to loop back on itself. But you know what? We don't want that. Let's have some fun with it. Let's put down, if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this with trucks. I can do it with trains. Can I put down, yes, a waypoint. We're going to put down a waypoint here. And this is a good excuse to go ahead and do a bit of teaching on how to use this. So let's go back to our line manager, line 4. So instead of just letting this loop back on itself, I'm going to add another station and click on the waypoint here. And it's going to, the waypoint doesn't stop. It's just directing the flow of your line in a certain direction. So I'm telling this line that instead of looping back into the city, I want to go out and then kind of back towards our exchange, right? So just using a simple waypoint, kind of like if you're using Google Maps and you can add a waypoint, you know you want to go off the freeway and stop in a certain city, but you don't want to go crazy with, messing around. Just add a waypoint, drag your line off of the freeway, and there you go. This is going to be vehicle cargo, and this is the Flitwick fuel delivery. The other thing I've got here that says line 3 is our rail cargo, and that is the Flitwick fuel delivery. So one is rail, one is fuel, or sorry, cargo. Vehicle. There we go. I'll get it eventually. So I believe we're all set. Let's get a, we don't have a vehicle. We don't, do we? Well, here we go, over here. We do have a road depot. It's going to be a minute till the train gets over here anyway, so let's go ahead and buy, I don't think we're going to need much. Let's buy like 3. It's going to carry 8. You know what? Let's buy, I'm trying to think. We're going to be delivering like upwards of 120 some odd fuel in one fell swoop. So let's grab 5 or 4. I'm torn. Let's try 4 for the moment. You could literally see and taste the indecision. There we go. So we're going to assign them to the Flitwick fuel route. That's going to take a moment to go over there and be in place. And really, I think I could probably say, I want you to wait. I suppose it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If the fuel is there, it's there and they're going to load up. If it's not, they're not. So I guess you don't really have to say, wait till a full load. It's either going to arrive or it won't. And then on this side, at this point, we're ready for a train. And so in order to get our train on the route, what I'll do is make a small little connector onto here. There we go. And we're going to take a look at what kind of a train we want for this route. So let's think of a couple things or keep a couple things in mind. The default length of our stations is 160. So far, all of our stations that we built has been 160 meters long. So that is one consideration. We are finally at the point where we can hit 160 meter long trains. So let's go into the engines first. The Russian class FD is probably what we're going to use because I plan on putting a ton of tank cars on here. In fact, I want to be able to deliver more than the demand in 1 year to the city of Flitwick. So if we try to push the limit on the length, what if we go to like just beyond 100? Okay, so we actually have to have one less than that. So 152 meters. This is within the length of a station. It still has good power, which is crazy. This means that in order to reach 80 kilometers per hour, it's going to only take 57 seconds, which is honestly absolutely crazy, the power involved in our locomotive right now. I think if we take a look at the Russian class FD, 22 kilowatt of power versus 1,150. So by far, a massive, massive power locomotive here. So it is a full-on beast mode. So this is pretty much going to be our train that's going to carry fuel. We're trying to basically say, we want you to load up all the fuel at once, drop it all off at the city, because this route is going to take so long that we really want to overload Flitwick with fuel and have our trucks delivering fuel constantly throughout the year. Maybe it's too much. I don't know yet. We'll experiment. This again, part of this game is experimentation and adjusting. We are going to need to take a bit of a loan because that was a very, very expensive train. So time to go back to the bank, and we're going to pick up all that lovely money that I dropped off and pay back. We're going to take immediately back out, which is helpful. When you pay back your loan, you're able to do big purchases like this. So over to the vehicle manager. This is going to be a big one. This may or may not pan out. It's going to take a minute. So I know it's going to look bad right out of the gate. I know because it's going to be a while before our fuel starts to get delivered. Don't worry about that. We will get there eventually. We just have to let the fuel start to build up. So here's our big bad. It is $16 million. Huge cost here. But it's going to be worth it. Oh, there's the big purchase. I already have a headache. And let's assign this to the Flitwick fuel route. And we also need to add a couple of trucks to our original routes here. In fact, I don't think I cleaned up. No, I did not. So this is the... Real quick, I'm going to do vehicle cargo Stamford, since it's all kind of in the same area. This is the oil route. Or crude, I should say, not oil per se. And once I get this done, we're going to probably let the game run for a minute. I will make any adjustments in vehicles, because we are going to have to balance some vehicles out after a bit. Stamford, this is the fuel itself. This is the fuel route. And then we've got crude, right? So let's see, what's local here? It is simply... We've got crude twice. I think I need one of these to actually be oil. Which one's oil? You, my friend, you are oil. Bolton East here is green. So you are actually delivering kind of processed oil. There we go. So our truck routes are set. Let's go into Road Depot, buy a couple more. I'm going to do 4 more on each line. It might be overkill, but I really want to make sure we have all supply met. So as much crude going to the refinery as possible, etc., on down the line. It will require more balance later on. And who knows, maybe this crazy design that I have with the roundabout is not going to work out whatsoever. All right, let's unpause the game. It's going to take quite a while for the game to understand that there is now demand that is available down in Flitwick. So it's going to take a minute, and then it should start taking this oil to the fuel refinery. The fuel will get delivered, and it should start stocking up on our Stamford Sidings station. Okay, let's take a look at our glorious new... Oh my gosh, this thing is an absolute beast. Hey, do we have passing lanes? We do. There is a train at the logging station, but when we get to this point right here, or actually even right here, we should have enough space to pass each other. So they shouldn't have too many issues. Look how long this is. That is absolutely crazy. You are an absolute beast. Look at this thing. I am very impressed. All the pollution. All the pollution. So you are, I don't know, what do we want to name this train? This could be something related to fuel. I'm going to let you guys name this one. Let me know what you think. Something related to fuel. If it's witty, that's fine. If it's punny, I'll be disappointed, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? So once it gets beyond... I actually don't know where it's going to go first. Where's it trying to go? It's trying to go to Stamford Sidings, which is fine. I do want to say, wait for a full load at Stamford Sidings. So it's going to sit there and wait as long as it needs to in order to get a full load. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. I might change how long it's able to wait. But I do know at the moment I want it to hang out there for a bit until everything gets nice and organized. Oh, wow, we're not able to get a full load of logs. So we are 100% delivering all of the logs from our logging company. Are you still making money? Yes, you are. You're still making a good amount of profit. There's like one time in a year where you dip down a little bit. It's probably just related to timing, which means we are delivering a full thing of logs here. So what about you? How are you doing on this end? You, since you did level up, you're basically at 200, which means you are using 100% of what's coming in from the original logging facility, which means we could tap into this other logging company, or actually right here. This might make more sense. This is closer and could easily tie into this line. And I might talk about that next episode. We could have one small train just doing a run, actually bypassing the tool delivery or the tool station, making a bit of a kind of a bypass and going directly over to the plank processing place. So more planks, more tools. How are our tools doing? You are actually close to leveling up. We're not quite transporting all your goods yet. So does this mean we need to upgrade train number 3? What are you actually running? You are a China Railways JF1, so you are a big boy, but we might be able to upgrade you in order to do what I'm doing with fuel. Take like all of the possibility, like every single possible tool we could have, take them all over to Bodmin, drop them off for our trucks to deliver. How's Bodman doing, by the way, in a year? We're delivering 87 out of 172. That's pretty decent, honestly. So at some point I should stop and watch how long it takes our trucks to actually deliver the tools. But I'm assuming by the time this train gets back, as long as there are no more tools sitting around, our trucks are doing the job. As we wait for our new fuel route to kind of sort itself out and get going, let's take a look at some of our other existing routes. I really need to work on the Bodmin West International Airport. I really do want to change it. It's probably too long. International Airport? There we go. Perfect. It actually worked. There we go. Bodmin West International Airport. Very full, as you can see. Lots of folks wanting to come to and fro. So what I can do is go into the vehicle manager, sort by aircraft routes, and what I'm going to do is sort by aircraft type and pretty much trash any of our older style planes. Actually, I need to skip the purple route. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We only need to do the ones that are going to Bodmin, because that is the one that's kind of overloaded right now. So I'm going to kill all of these older planes, the 3-person, and I'm going to do the same thing for blue, which actually is none, because we bought nothing but the good stuff for that route. We'll see how this balances things out. I will, of course, need to keep adding planes, but I might wait for the next generation of plane to come through. Instead of going for just spamming out planes, we need to find a nice balance between how many people can be carried on it versus how many planes can be landing at any given time. But that is still looking like a pretty lucrative little route. Next episode, I believe I'd like to mess around a little bit with the water, with doing kind of ferry routes. I don't know what's available right now. I would have to put down a shipyard. How much is a shipyard? You know what? That's not too much money. I'll tell you what we're going to do. For fun, as they say, let's throw down a shipyard. Just right over here would be fine. We want to have it just kind of flush, and that should be okay, I believe. And I want to see what's available inside the shipyard. Oh, wow. We have a lot of different styles here. Dunara Castle can carry 70... Oh, sorry. I almost thought it was 78. Oh, it can carry 100, apparently. 100 of any cargo. 85 passengers here on the Frontenac. Klondike can only carry... Oh, it can carry 110 passengers or cargo. That's different. I don't think we've seen anything yet that can do cargo or passengers. Or maybe it's at the same time. Maybe it's, that wouldn't make sense, would it? 100 passengers and 100 cargo? 2 compartments, I think, means you can have 2 separate types of cargo. So we could have steel and planks, for example. The Schaffhausen is 130. The Vandal, which almost kind of looks like a submarine, is 100, and it's kind of an oil tanker. So that could be kind of fun. But I might look into passenger routes here. We've got Torquay, Bournemouth, and Pershore, which are all along the coast, which could be some nice, easy, just to explore how this does. And really, Bournemouth to Torquay wouldn't be too bad. It's very close, but it is separated. I guess there is a road right here that goes across a bridge that does connect them, so maybe not quite as spread out as I would hope. We do have a new Junkers JU-52 available. Looks like it's got passenger spots. Let's take a look. The Junker JU-52 is, no, in fact, it is cargo. So it is only cargo. It looks like it could be passenger, but that's fine. So, I mean, if it said all, hang on. If something says all, oh, this is different. This is, okay, so all is different than all cargo. So this could be a passenger plane, is what I'm seeing. Let's buy one. Oof, 1 million. This is a beast. Let's put this on the main route here from... we'll do this one over to Bodmin, and we'll see how it comes out and what it looks like and how many people it can carry. Ooh, you are a nice-looking tri-engine vehicle. So 2 separate compartments. I bet we could almost carry some cargo and some people at the same time, which would be kind of cool. And so if we're, the nicer part is we go into the technology and we go through the years, we're replacing the amount of planes we have with bigger planes that can carry more people. Thus, less of this chaos at the station or at the airport itself. Not as many people using the airport as there used to be. How is Ashby de la Zouch doing in terms of demand? Ooh, what if we wound up doing a fuel delivery. That would be very, very inefficient, but I wonder how lucrative that would be. Like a fuel delivery all the way from here, a little airport delivering fuel down to Ashby-de-la-Zouch. Maybe it would work, maybe it would not. I don't know. So far at our roundabout of awesomeness, we have no demand yet, no transport. However, it has consumed 25 oil. Thus, there might be an issue with our line. We have cargo. Oh, I did order. I get the right thing, right? We can, in fact. Oh, it is actually carrying fuel. I forgot that it won't show up anywhere because it's instantly getting transported to the train. So the train is, in fact, waiting for a full load. It will wait for, like, I think up to 3 minutes or so. What's the maximum time here if I go to the managed line? It will wait for 3 minutes before it continues on its way. That's fine. And really, I could just tell it to go right now. By the time it gets back, it might have more fuel stocked up. So we're going to let this run because I would like to see what the balance is. So are we short on, do we have enough trains bringing raw crude, for example, or are we short on that? So we'll experiment a little bit, get a balance going, and see where I need, which trucks I need to add where. In terms of actual delivery, this doesn't look too bad. There are a lot of trucks here, but there does not seem to be too many interruptions. It does seem like the roundabout is doing something of what I was hoping for. I don't know if this is truly the case or not, if it's going to change over time or what, but at the moment it seems to be doing okay. We are delivering. We need actually more crude delivery. We have more crude stocked up. So that means let's add a bunch more vehicles to the crude route. Maybe 5 more, not 15. Just 5, please. This is all about the crude is my... Oh, God. Sometimes if you go into the buy menu and you're holding a key down, the game decides to take it away with it. There we go. Let's bring it back and quick. Oh, God. It did it again. Well, eventually, I'll get it all straightened out. There we go. Let's take my hand off WASD. Filter by what we see. Go to crude. Okay. That is the crude route. I will work on this between episodes. Otherwise, I think we've really accomplished what we were hoping for. Let's take a look at our new train as it progresses towards our new dedicated, kind of our double line here, our main line between Bodmin and Flitwick. I don't see any... I was hoping for trains to kind of come near each other, but it doesn't seem like there's any trains that are going in opposite directions right now. Right here. But this is the natural passing lane anyway. Not natural, but this is the passing lane that we have, which is working as intended. Look at that. You're on the passing lane. You're on the passing lane. Everyone gets through and is completely happy. Are there any stops here? Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? This was stopped because it recognized there was another train up here. So now here is where you can add, you can kind of break up your line with more signals. And I'm kind of glad that happened. We can actually put random signals in the middle of our segment because there's not a danger of the trains getting on the same line. They're all going kind of one direction. So, for example, say the Flitwick Zephyr comes up and gets to its farthest forward, what would it be? The farthest forward stop or signal right here. So between this signal and now you could say we didn't build these. This signal, if there's any train on this entire stretch of track, it would not be released. But by putting a signal right here in the middle, as soon as our oil tanker train gets through this signal catch right here, it's going to free up the Flitwick Zephyr if it was stopped right there in order to move forward. So that's you're kind of basically letting the trains move up when they need to. The hardest part, let's see, you're still good here. It really would be okay. It's pretty much all the way up here. We could even say have another signal right before the bridge if we wanted to, I suppose. Again, we're all in the interest of letting our trains move up and kind of continue progressing along the route without getting stuck or slowed down at all. I think that's good enough right now. What's the Flitwick Zephyr up to? Are you stopped or are you still going? Nope, you're going to power right on through our little crazy merge. And it's able to do that if we did not have this center segment here with signals, it would not be able to push on through. It would recognize the oil train as being on its section of track and wait. But by the time it hits the middle segment, our oil train will be on through its next signal, and thus it's saying, hey, this next segment of track is clear. Now, between here and here is clear, so Mr. Oil Tank will move up, etc., ad nauseum. Where is... I thought we had a train coming backwards. Did we not? Apparently not. I think that might have been the, yeah, train number 5, which was our Bishop Auckland route. Earn 1 million with airplanes within a month. Oh, interesting. Aircraft entrepreneur. Lovely. Well, everything is working as intended. This could be actually interesting. The Flitwick Zephyr is much faster than our oil tanker, our oil train here. It is maintaining a full 80 kilometers per hour, so it is maintaining its maximum speed, but the Flitwick Zephyr, I believe, can go much faster. Actually, what's its upper limit? If I think about it, what is the maximum limit of the Flitwick Zephyr? Class 5. Russian class SH, I think, rather. Sorry. You can hit 115. I think, in theory, then, it's going 115, right? Or 100. So it could go faster, but I believe it's limited by the weight it's pulling. So it's not the track that's the limiter. It's actually the train itself is pulling weight, so it's not able to hit 120. And as you saw there, our train kind of snaked over again, and it's going to deliver its meager fuel cargo, which is then going to be dropped off here, which is like just a couple dozen, I think, maybe, of fuel. It's going to get picked up and delivered from there. Lovely stuff. It is all working out as we were hoping for. So now you should... Oh, you did flip around. Okay, so here we're going to see our, again, more signals in action. So in theory, this can proceed the entire way and not be disturbed, because these two trains don't interact. You're going one way, the other train's coming another way. I just get excited when these things work out and everything is actually behaving as intended. Flitwick Zephyr, with a full load of 95 people, delivers unto us a cool $2.5 million. Wonderful stuff. How's Flitwick doing? Every so often we need to just stop and smell the roses and the money and see if we have anything we need to adjust. Poor emissions, which isn't bad, considering how many vehicles we have. The one thing I wanted to check on that I did not yet was this destinations layer. What is all of this? We have public transport versus private transport. 63, 60. I think this is how many people are using certain routes, maybe? This is residential. Okay. What is it telling me here? Private transport destination. Can I press question mark? Hey, this layer shows the routes taken by the inhabitants to get from their place of residence to shopping or work. Interesting. I mean, kind of. It doesn't... I suppose it does. So there's 5 people who go this direction, maybe, on the private transportation. So a lot more people are using public transportation, as you can see, according to the numbers at least. A distinction is made between public and private. The strength of the color indicates how popular a route is. Use the filter to select a town to see exactly how the inhabitants behave. So, I guess this could help you identify any areas where you can improve your route, right? So, there's a bit of a stretch here where a lot of people use private transportation along the main road, but it's going on through, and a lot of that is going over to, I assume, Bishop Auckland. It is. So there's like 32 people, maybe. I don't know if it's people or just strength, but 32 people, 28 people are basically trying to use this route between Bishop Auckland and Flitwick. So that does indicate that there is some demand, but not a ton. Not a ton of demand. 48 people are using our bus route. It doesn't have any private transportation, but maybe that's because we're kind of overwhelming the private transportation with our numbers. There are definitely private vehicles here. So that is a thing. 33 people. This is kind of helpful. This really tells you what the traffic is like between certain areas. So is there any missed opportunities, basically? Bodmin is not too popular. I mean, there's a little minor traffic out to Wadebridge. Actually, kind of cool stuff. Do we get private airplanes at some point? I don't think you would. Here's a big traffic between Axbridge. This could be a very simple route between Axbridge and Pershore, which could provide a bit of money. Bury St. Edmunds is not too much. What about out of Ashby de la Zouch? Not too much. Ashby, everyone's happy to live in Ashby and stay in Ashby. So, good to see. Good planning tips to use, it looks like. What other kind of stuff do we have here? No, we've seen this. Land use layer? This is the tier, I think, of building, I assume. So we have level 4 skyscrapers, probably. I think this is the darker green. I can't quite tell. I'm like probably partially colorblind. Here's a little green. I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Although these look exactly the same. But I'm assuming the buildings will kind of change in style as you go farther in the timeline, right? So as we get closer to the 2000s, we'll start to see actual mega scrapers come into play. So this is the current height of a max tier building. And maybe down the road they'll get even bigger. Oh, look at all these lovely waterfront houses here. Oh, sorry. Look at all this lovely waterfront pollution here. This is great. Really nice and clean. Look at all this wasted residential space, though. Come on, guys. Whoever did your zoning has never played City Skylines, honestly. Bobman also wants tools and... Ooh! Tools and machines. I'd forgotten all about machines. That is an option down the road. Probably a couple more episodes, because there's a lot more that still needs to be balanced out. Remember, I did want to look into delivering more wood. You know, again, maybe this problem can be resolved by trucks. Instead of a train delivering wood over to our processing sawmill, why don't we look at just doing it with trucks? Because trucks are fast-ish. They can carry quite a bit of goods on them and aren't as expensive as trains and get the job done through sheer numbers. So how far away? Right there is the catchment area. I'm going to do this real quick before the end of this episode. So we're going to throw you down. We already have a truck stop there. We're going to make a really... look how quick you can make these routes, too. I mean, like, drop a station. Once you get in the frame of mind and you know what you're doing, you really can come out doing these really, really quick, right? So vehicle, cargo, Stamford, this is going to be another logs delivery. So something like this, logs right here. And all we need to do is assign trucks to this, and that's that. I mean, that's how quick this was all done. Where is our truck depot? Right over here? Road depot. So a bit of a farther run. How many trucks are we running? Probably not a really fair indicator. We don't really have any trucks running logs. So I'll tell you what, let's do, I don't know, let's do at least 10. This is 8, 7, 6. So yes, we do want the side stake car. Let's do a nice, easy 10 trucks for the moment. Assign them to our new gross line. That lovely color. And then we're going to start delivering more logs directly into our manufacturer of planks. And then that's going to satisfy the fact that they're at the limit. They're doing exactly what they're providing, right? We're providing the maximum logs from here into the plank manufacturer. So they're making 100% of what we send them. And we're shipping 100% of what they make. It's just that they have a lot more capacity that we're not utilizing. So hopefully this truck route will make that, we'll kind of fix that problem. The Aspen, 90 out of 120. Where's our other train? This currently has 71. So this is a pretty good route. We probably have a couple more cars than we really need. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's hurting us all that much. We are making a good bit of profit, I think, on both. Let's take a look at the line itself. How? Yes, you are definitely making a ton of money. So our line there, the log to plank route, is doing just fine. Oh, no, we are starting to hit the point where our road vehicles are going to start needing to get repaired. Road vehicle number 6. How am I supposed to find road vehicle number 6? I could do all and probably sort by... I thought there was a way... Aha! You can sort by vehicles overall and find which ones are very, very bad. So we are going to have to start looking at changing our condition, replacing our vehicles soon. Is this affecting the profitability of the line? It doesn't really seem to be. I'm surprised, though, that this is so high. The expenditures for... We know I haven't looked at this food route in 1,000 years, though. So it's quite possible that this route has been useless for a very, very long time. How is this doing, by the way? What are we doing for food here? Cramlington's at 61 out of 139. Maybe next episode, I will work on trimming up this line, kind of trimming up the fat, getting the rest of our lines very profitable that need to be, starting to replace some vehicles with our massive influx of money, apparently. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Transport Fever 2, my friend. I'll see you next time. Take care.